Joining me to discuss this is Blair Barker, a councillor from Whitehorse Council, which flew that communist Chinese flag over the Box Hill Town Hall last year. Blair, thank you so much indeed for your time. Look, how did that communist flag come to be flown over this town hall?
It was about this time last year, Andrew, and my understanding is that there was a function being held at our town hall by a local business group that was celebrating China's National Day, and they requested our council officers fly the flag, which they dutifully did. The first I knew of this, of course, was when my phone started buzzing with messages from people asking me what were we thinking and what were we doing.
Did it strike you as a bit weird?
It certainly struck me as odd and somewhat insensitive, Andrew, yes.
Now, I'm interested in the people that are complaining. What sort of concerns did they raise with you? And were they all non-Chinese or were there also Chinese?
No, a mix of people from all over the community, Andrew. I represent a very diverse community. People from China, or people that have heritage from China, from Tibet, Taiwan, Australia, of course, and the complaints were from right across the board, including people that would be sort of, culturally, Chinese, ethnically.
Well, that's interesting because here again is evidence that when we fall in with Chinese propaganda that the Communist Party represents all Chinese, that's wrong.
It is wrong, Andrew, and I think it's an important point to make because in the city of Whitehorse is a very harmonious people. We love all people and cultures, but I think a number of people have real concerns with the Chinese communist regime. And when I'm representing people that have Taiwanese heritage, Tibetan heritage, Uyghurs, as I think you mentioned before, these people have real concerns, and indeed we have people that sought asylum in Australia after the Tiananmen Square massacre. So this is a particularly insensitive thing, I think, to occur.
I think you're absolutely correct. Now, a number of Chinese have told me that they'd like to speak out, and I also know from other people that they've told other people they'd like to speak out, but what they fear is if they do, that their family back, the relatives back in China, will pay for it. So they stay stum. What do you make, given all that, given this concern, this fear of Gladys Liu, who your council area represents the Chisholm electorate, where she is
part of it? Yeah.
She represents. What do you make of her taking Chinese money, being associated with Chinese Communist Party fronts, and now cutting a birthday cake to China in the police station over there, in this electorate?
I think people will be surprised. And I get a real sense that there's increased community concern about the influence of mainland China or the Chinese regime in Australia. And I don't think that can be put to one individual or one event, Andrew. I think Sam Dastyari shocked people. I think we've seen the Aldi bags full of cash from property developers in New South Wales.
You make a good point.
Concern people. I think in our area particularly, we've got a lot of foreign inbound investment in residential development that has changed the physical landscape of our area, which has unsettled some people. And I think what we're seeing on the television in terms of what's happening in Hong Kong, I think some of the images of the Uyghur people's treatment or alleged
not to mention China then showing all its military weapons to scare the world this week. And just finally, is your council going to raise the Communist Chinese flag over the Box Hill Town Hall again?
Well, Andrew, I tried to remove the delegation from council officers to have the authority to do that, but wasn't successful. But I think the discussions that we had last year when this event occurred and the discussions we've had this time, now the whole community is probably more aware of some of those geopolitical and socio-political sensitivities that large aspects of our community have. So I hope not.
I'm suggesting, all right, there's a hope not. But may I thank you for the work that you've been doing on this issue. Blair Barker, thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thanks for yours, Andrew.